Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Advance. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, and entertainment. And we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have a hell of a show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, my name is Charles Tabansi. My handle is CTABANZ. You want to follow the channel on Instagram, same as the channel, Dreamers Pro. And also, if you want today's full show before it comes out on YouTube, it is streaming for free on the Dreamers Pro podcast that we have pinned in the comments below. Anyway, let me get into this topic here. So as you guys know, yesterday was the long-awaited return of Ja Morant into the NBA after he finished serving, I believe, a 25-game suspension, something that we all discussed ad nauseum, right? So Ja Morant, since his suspension, totally disappeared, stayed under the radar, and just patiently waited for his moment to basically make a return. And that's exactly what he did last night against the New Orleans Pelicans in a primetime game that was being covered by TNT and Kenny Smith and Shaquille O'Neal. Charles Barkley wasn't there, and Ernie Johnson. So he went out there and he got out to a slow start in the first half, but in the second half he came on really strong, and he actually ended up hitting he actually ended up hitting the game-winning shot for them for the Memphis Grizzlies, and ended up finishing that game. Let me look at his splits. He finished that game with 34 points on 50% shooting from the field, 0% from the three, but you can understand that maybe Russ played a factor. But he did shoot 83% from the free throw line, so he made his free throws. He got 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and he did have 5 turnovers, which is understandable for a player that hasn't played in that long, but nevertheless was still able to deliver for them. And more importantly than delivering in terms of the victory, I think he's now beginning to reinfuse that confidence. That's really what's important here. Apart from your abilities, the confidence you have to go out there and perform, I think, is even greater. And that's what I think he's given his team. Because you see them hype. They were hollering after the game when he was doing his post-game interview. So you could see that, they had this new energy back in the building. And that's what a great star player can do. And obviously that's what Ja Morant did for the team. So what happened? I get on social media and a clip comes across my phone where you see Ja Morant running through the tunnel. And he's shouting, "I kept receipts. I kept receipts." And then what else happens? He then goes to the post game and he's talking about the people that have said X, Y, and Z about him, and he remembered all of his various people. And then it made me think about Shannon Sharpe, right? Because a number of years ago, about a year or so ago, Ja Morant took us behind the scenes when they were unveiling his new Nike shoe. And he put out a video on his YouTube channel. I don't know if it's still there. You guys can go hunt it down. But he was kind of taking us behind the curtains to walk us through the process of what it's like to, the process of, having your own shoe made by Nike. And then as he's walking through these various places, you hear music playing, and then you hear a voice playing in the background. And that voice is playing in the background is actually the voice of Shannon Sharpe. And some of the things that Shannon Sharpe has said about him, which brings me to Shannon himself. Shannon has been one of the more vocal critics of Ja Morant, but I think most of the cases he's been inbound, but nevertheless, he hasn't been afraid to make his positions clear on Ja Morant. And what we want to do is we want to play his most recent comments about Ja Morant after the incident that he had that ultimately got him suspended for the amount of games that he did. So what we want to do is we want to play that for you now, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what Shannon Sharpe had to say here.
Hell no. There lies the problem again, Skip. You see? Here we are again. Ja Morant refuses to accept accountability and responsibility for his actions. Again, it's somebody else. Somebody from the back seat passed up a toy gun. What grown-ass man play with toy guns and listen to NBA Youngboy and listen to that kind of gangster rap with a toy gun? The last person I know played with a toy gun, it didn't end well for him. That was Tamir Rice. He was a 12-year-old.
Thank you.
So now Ja want to play with a 12 gun. Yeah. Instead of saying, if that was your argument, use that the day after it happened.
Yeah.
Say, man, that was a toy. Man, that was a prop. Man, I don't mess around with no toy gun. So did you go into Adam Silver's office when this happened, using shotgun Willis, and say that was a toy gun? Again, Ja, just accept responsibility. Commissioner, I was wrong. I know I was just in your office 2 months ago, and I told you I wouldn't let that happen again.
Yep.
I was wrong, Commissioner. I come at you. I'm at your mercy. Whatever you decide, I'm willing to accept, because I'm willing to show you that I've learned my lesson this time around. Again, he will not accept responsibility for what he did. He will not own up to the accountability that should be bestowed upon him. It was a toy gun now, Skip. Really? Really, John's Camp? This is what y'all want us to believe. That was a toy gun. So if it was a toy gun, why did that guy, he had that, whoa, I can get that up there. So why did he do it so quick and that was a toy gun?
Good point.
Nobody believes that. All you've got to do, Ja, you made a mistake. You made another mistake. Okay, it happened. And I wish it wouldn't happen. But you've got to accept responsibility for this stuff and stop trying to pass the buck. Somebody in the back seat, why they passing you a toy? So you mean to tell me that you're going to fool around with a toy gun and somebody might think that thing real and let one off on you? For real, Ja? Is that what you want people to believe?
Yeah.
Ja, Cam, come on. Y'all better than this. Just accept the responsibility. Have, Ja, you come out there with that half-hearted apology that seemed like it was written by one of these AI services. Come, Skip, I just can't. See, and people say, well, Shannon, man, you just being hard on Ja. Because Ja won't accept responsibility.
Yeah.
That's Skip, a part of an apology is accepting responsibility for the wrong that you've done.
Yeah.
People at home, this got nothing to do with the Second Amendment. Okay, you got the Second Amendment. If you're not a federal officer, take your ass to a government building with a firearm and say, I got the Second Amendment, and see what they do. Go to the federal courthouse, go to a government building with your firearm on you, and you're not an official, and see what happens to you. And use that Second Amendment bullshit. The NBA is a private entity. They say no guns on the premise and blah, 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 so forth and so on. But Skip, I just can't get it, Skip. I just don't know what else we can do. I just wish I could just sit down and talk to him, and I would tell him, Ja, just accept the responsibility.
So you heard what Shannon Sharpe had to say. At the time, I think Shannon Sharpe was doing his job. I don't think he meant anything malicious by it. The information came across his desk, so he had to discuss it, right? But in the case of Ja Morant plays with a lot of bravado. He plays with a lot of confidence. Sometimes it turns people off. Sometimes the Memphis Grizzlies talk before they deliver. But I think that's what makes that team who they are, right? That's their makeup. Some people like it, some people dislike it. I'm not really a fan of it, but there's some people that love it. But nevertheless, for you to come back after a 25-game suspension and to throw down the gauntlet like that in such an emphatic way, and then end up hitting the game-winning shot at the buzzer for your team, that says a lot about you. It really does. And if we look at the Western Conference standings right now, I want to take a quick glimpse at it. In the West right now, the Memphis Grizzlies are currently the number 13 seed. Right, so there are a lot of games, actually 7 games, I believe, outside of the top 10 seed to at least be in the play-in tournament. And if they can get into the play-in tournament, they could be one of those teams that could be dangerous, right? So I definitely think that they have an opportunity to be one of those teams that can make it into the play-in tournament. And then once you make it in there, anything can happen. I think the smarter teams this year are going to try their best to avoid the play-in tournament. It would be, quite frankly, stupid to try to find yourself within the play-in tournament and take the chance of being knocked out, especially after a long 82-game season, and then to go in there and play with the chance and then have some team come and knock you out at the last moment. But to me, listen, he's back. I think that he's going to give that team a shot in the arm that they desperately needed. You can obviously see the impact of his absence. And to me, that's why it's amazing when they talk about, well, can you imagine if they took this guy off the team, what the team would be? I'm like, can you imagine if they took a great player off of a great team, what that team would become? Like, hello, this is what I'm trying to figure out. So to me, man, I think it's good to have Ja Morant back. He seems very, very focused. He seems very motivated. If keeping receipts and keeping names of people that doubted him is what's motivating him, more power to him. I'm that type of way as well. Now, I'm not going to holler about it, but I remember every single person that looked down on me or said something about me, and it's something that fuels me. So if that's what he uses as engine fuel to get him going, get himself going, then more power to him. More power to him. I support that. And, I hope he comes back this season and plays very well. I hope that he stays away from all of the drama. I hope there's no repeat, no nothing. And I hope it's all about basketball. And more importantly, apart from basketball, more about the substance. I know the Memphis Grizzlies are a very, very confident team, but I would like to see them back it up as well. Talking the talk and all of that stuff, and then going to the playoffs and getting knocked down in the second rounds ain't really it for me. But it was a very, very good game. So what I want to know from you guys, number one, what do you think about Ja's return? Number two, do you think he's going to be able to stay out of trouble and just play great basketball? Whatever you guys think, please your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next show. Peace.